guess we just need to clarify what that was to make sure, and it was council's responsibility, so what do we need to do on that? We have sort of a different idea of what that might have been at the time, and looking for anybody else's ideas on what we wanted there. Or do we remove it?
Nobody here remembers? Or what's it?
I don't have any notes on my last strategic plan regarding that.
Again, I told you what I think it is. It was, on every decision, how is that being communicated? Or is it gonna go on the sign, or what's the plan for it? Or does it just stay in the minutes? What I'm seeing is it's not a big priority with anybody. Maybe we just take that communications prompt off at this point. If we don't know what it is, we're not too worried about it. What's that?
I didn't have anything either.
So the two ideas we had around that was, number one, that it was how are we communicating this decision out? And normally that's usually talked about.
That's what it was. That's exactly what it was. That was a communication prompt. It's exactly how it's going to be communicated out. This particular RFD, what's our next step to communicate it to different channels? That's exactly what it was.
So this would be on every RFD, like if we just go
So
back
say,
to
for example,
RFD, it would say communication.
Right, to the newsletter, February newsletter, or utility bill insert, or whatever, that's exactly what it was.
So if we had this RFD, so I'm clear, that we got this RFD regarding the minor ball dugout removal. We had a communication prompt in here. It would say, administration to contact minor ball and let them know council's decision. Is that what we would put in there?
I remember when Debbie Rose was on council, she always posted on a Facebook page, the council Facebook page. She would summarize the motions that were made at the meeting and what the end result was. She didn't cite motion numbers, she just basically said what you had said, in terms of, as an example, minor ball, council approved, donation in kind helped them remove the dugouts at the ball diamond for improvement. Basically, is what she would include in that, which was helped a lot.
So there's a couple suggestions you can make. One is, do you want a prompt, or really what you're asking for is what I call council highlights?
Yes.
That aren't formal motions, it's just, here's the highlights of council, it's written in plain English, and that thing's published after every council meeting. In it, so you still have the minutes, but you have the council highlights that says, minor baseball came in, this was their initiative, this is what's happening.
Right, and I don't know, I know when Linda was mayor, she had a mayor's report in the paper. I don't know if the paper would charge us money to put in council highlight page, something to look into.
So, you can do the council highlights, you can do, right in the RFD, have another section, rather than just having, attachments, cost and source of funding, you can put in another subcategory saying communication strategy.
Yeah.
Like, there's lots of options.
Yeah, so how is this going to get communicated? So if it was this one on minor dugout removal, what would we put in the communications strategy?
Basically just a summary that's saying council approved in-kind donation to help facilitate the removal of dugouts for minor ball.
But where would that go?
Well, it would be, I'm not sure what do you mean, where would that go?
Well, I guess I'm saying that if we have a communications heading on an RFD, in my head, it would say, okay, what's the communications plan for this particular request for a decision? How are we communicating that out, or is there any communications needed? So in this particular one, I just picked it, it would be that the administration will contact the minor ball to let them know that this has been approved. Right, that's what I'm thinking.
Well, I think it would be better if it came as saying council approved a donation in kind to minor ball to help facilitate the removal of the dugouts for rehabilitation, or something to that effect. And then it could be communicated in, the council highlight that we can put in the paper, or in the RFD, or on the website, or the council Facebook page, something in all of those areas.
Is there a council Facebook page?
There is, it has not been active like we talked about before.
Or does administration like have the password or whatever it is?
No, I believe that Debbie Rose has that, but it has not been active since she's left council.
I know we talked about that.
Yeah, we talked
We
about
talked
whether
about
we
it, but
wanted to activate it. It's there, she's willing to transfer it over. It's not, like I say, it hasn't been used.
It's just capacity to do that,
It's
right?
the capacity.
It's called the High Prairie Town Council on the Facebook page.
So may I make a suggestion, just for your thoughts? So on the communication prompt, the person that says dugout, hey, we're gonna excavate 8 dugouts, replace them, this is our site, we're maintaining, we're bettering our community. The person that makes the motion is probably the most educated to speak to it, because if they make the motion, they want this thing. So how about that way, it's fair, we all take turns, and the person that makes the motion does the little blurb about it. What do you think?
And where does it go?
Well, let's put it in multiple places. Why does it have to go to one place? Can it not go to this, the town council site that she's referring to? Can it not go to the newspaper? Can it not go to multiple places? Can it not go into our newsletter that the administration sends out? We have a little council corner, and council gets to weigh in the council corner.
I'm not gonna say, all of those things are possible, right? I mean,
And if it's
it
not,
is, I mean,
only given to
like
the
you
mayor,
say.
or only given to Sasha, or only given to Jonathan, it doesn't become like a big job. It's, you take one, you take another, you take the one you made, everyone gets one, the one that they made, the most likely to be able to talk to it the best.
I see certain advantages to that, but I also see certain issues with it too, right? And how would it get, you've got different writing styles,
Different
different
voice.
voices.
But maybe that's not a bad thing.
I'm just saying, yeah.
People then get to hear a diverse voice and
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, it could, I mean, we don't have
if I had nothing else to
council
do,
board.
I would certainly take it on, because I
I-
love to do it. But
That's
if
what I mean.
like someone who's retired and had nothing to do, then great, I would take it on for sure.
There's the issue.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
if I could, my suggestion would be administration would commit to do a council highlight, and then that would be posted, which would be more plain English, So if you look at the baseball diamonds, when that first request came, the highlights of the council meeting would be, thanks to the minor baseball, they've done this initiative, it's gonna be good for the community. A little blurb, and to support this initiative, councils participating by doing A, B, and C.
Yeah.
A donation in kind to help this project.
So that's, and it wouldn't be necessarily every item that was on the council agenda, because some of them are pretty dull. But again, here's the highlights of what happened at the council meeting. And, it would provide more than the minutes. We can't provide that type of information in the minutes, but we could, if council agrees, produce a council highlight document, and that goes out, a day or two after the council meeting.
And Debbie Rose in her council, on the High Prairie Council or whatever, she never did every item, she just did sort of the
Public interest,
the public interest ones, or sort of the really important ones that were done. She didn't necessarily, as an example, say that council agreed to sponsor the Elks Rodeo, or, those kinds of things. She sort of did the more public knowledge ones or whatever.
Okay, so we're getting into a discussion and I like it, about sort of communicating in a different way and getting it out as a community or a council highlights, I guess. And I like that, it's simple language, people don't have to necessarily go to the minutes to get it. Then how do we promote that? Number one, we do have that council web page, or that council Facebook page that it could be posted on, or we could post it on just the town of High Prairie website and or Facebook page. And, that's the other way of doing it, just to get it out on those two sources. There's the possibility also of seeing if the newspaper would give us the free space, or if we'd have to pay for it. Are we willing to do that? It could come back and we could decide, if we want to do that.
If I could, through the chair again, we buy bulk space in the paper, so we could probably squeeze that in that bulk space. But again, it's gonna be stale dated, because it's gonna be a week or 2 weeks after council's made the decision, by the time it gets through the publishing process. So my suggestion is not to use the Facebook page that the former previous mayor may have had, but just put it on the town's website and then supplement that if it's a bigger item. But again, if you want it to be timely, the only timely way to do it is post it on social media somewhere, but I would suggest one-shot stopping related to town information is the best. Right now, we have multiple websites. There's no coordination between those websites. Staff are posting on one and not posting on the other. It's problematic. I've asked staff to consolidate and stop using some of their specialty Facebook pages, because we have a town Facebook page, and that everything should be on the same page, rather than a rec item going to this Facebook page, a fire item going to this
Well, then
Facebook
it
page.
starts getting lost, right? Is
Well,
what it is.
then, from my perspective, I'm not seeing these messages before they're posted.
Okay, I could certainly live with that. I like the idea of doing a council highlight and putting it out after our meetings, and letting, a different way of getting that information out, because there are some people that go to the minutes and look, but the majority of the people don't. So if it popped up and they could easily find them and just read a quick summary, I think that would be something well received by the public. And if administration's got the capacity to do that, fantastic. Okay, I'm seeing a sort of a general nodding there that that's a good thing. Okay, so,
So changing the priority to administration for the council, correct?
well, and I think we need to change our priority to not say, insert a communications prompt on the RFD, but, that we develop a, council highlight, summary after regular council meetings, or after council meetings, we'll just say it that way. And that gets posted on the town Facebook page.
So what is the town Facebook page? And what happens to someone, where else does it get posted?
Well, there is a couple of, when you search High Prairie Facebook, you get a couple of website, or Facebook pages. One of them is the High Prairie Town Council one, and we can request that that one gets shut down for now, or removed. And then there was another one, I know Ron Shunter said that there's two High Prairie, a Town High Prairie and something else, so I don't know who has the authority on the other one, but we should close down the one that's not being used by the town regularly, if we have even control over that. It might be by somebody else. Do you know, Bill, who that other one is?
I can't recall, but if they're using town High Prairie in the title, they shouldn't be anyways, so.
I'm just asking so that we go to the venue that has the most visibility, or if you only have 5 people on a site, there's no point in posting, right? But I'm not a Facebook person, so.
So my suggestion to council is a link be right on the town's webpage, like our webpage, that says council highlights, and it's there right on the front page, home page. People can click it, and then we just post it on our Facebook page. And if, space permitting, we can always put it in the bulk ad that we've already purchased. So we have a half page purchased every paper run, but again, I wouldn't strongly recommend that because it's going to be stale dated information.
What do we currently post in that space, that bulk space?
Community stuff that's happening. We're doing this bulk. We're flushing the sewers. We're doing this. Here's the next month's recreation. Pool lessons. But it's all future orientated, or we're doing the. If you pick up any paper, grab one out there, and you'll see. It's those typical things. Next month recreation schedule. Garbage collection, changes of anything we're doing that is out of the ordinary. We're expect the fire chief, we're doing controlled burns within the town. That type of stuff. Be prepared, this is happening.
I'm just going on and did a quick search for the town of High Prairie, and there's multiple Facebook pages. There's one, Town of High Prairie, and it's a government organization.
That was the one Debbie Rose had.
No, the one that she had was High Prairie Town Council.
Oh, okay.
That's the one she had. But we have one called Just High Prairie, We have one called the Town of High Prairie, and there is, so those are both two different ones, so we've got, and I'm trying to see how you figure out who actually, and then we have High Prairie Recreation. One. Oh, so that one's High Prairie Recreation. We have Town of High Prairie, two that are called Town of High Prairie. We got a Town of High Prairie swimming pool, High Prairie Town Council, and one just called High Prairie. So very confusing.
You know, Bill, the only thing about, okay, I hear what you're saying about pulling everything to one source. People are used to certain things, so if they go and not find a swimming schedule somewhere, I just don't want to lose that audience, right? I'm using swimming, they might not be a swimming one, but whatever.
And we talked about that at the leadership team, and, you know, we have a transition that once you click that Facebook page, it redirects you automatically to the new link. So, yeah, people have to get, the bottom line is, you know, our website needs enhancements, and it has to be, municipalities fail because they develop their websites based on internal departments and the like, rather than a customer service perspective where if someone's coming to our website, what are they interested in? And that's the way the website should be laid out, where they can find the information. You know, they don't know utilities. Is that in the public works department? Is it a utility department? Like, they don't care about that stuff. They want to know, how do I get my sewer's back up? How do I deal with that? So, you know, that's the intent of when we update the website, to have that customer service perspective rather than an organizational perspective. So,
What we're really looking at is having a good social media policy, which is our second item, is saying, okay, what do we want to have? And that could tie into how many different Facebook pages, and closing off some of the ones that we don't, and identifying, do we want just one Facebook page for everything, and having a policy that sort of deals with that. And who can post on that, who can't post, that kind of thing. So maybe that's where we need to start, is getting that policy, and for now, we could post those council updates onto the Town of High Prairie Facebook page that we're using, and put it there for now. And we can always, once it's developed, we can look at posting it elsewhere if we want to. But I like the idea of coming up with that summary page, but I also think we need to come up with that social media policy. And on our strategic priorities, it says it's council. So we could come up with a policy, bring it to council to see if, you know, it works. I mean, I could commit to scouring other towns and copying and pasting something, and, you know, saying, okay, this is what we'd like to use for as a social media policy. What do you guys think? And we could tweak it and go from there if we want to do that.
So I did an RFP to council. We have the 65 policies that could just be added to the list, and then it would come back to council. Generally, the social media policies don't describe where you're going to do it. It's what's prohibited, what's protocol related to posting on social media.
Yeah.
So if you look at the policies that are out there, they focus on those type of things. Again, my concern is we've got too many things, and I can't commit to council that things are being vetted before they're posted on these other social media platforms. The other thing council should consider is you have a protocol dealing with who communicates on behalf of the town, right? So that may have to be rejigged.
But I thought I heard you say that administration was gonna do it.
That would be my preference, to bring something back for consideration by council. Right? Well, in terms of you know, the council highlights, that's simple to do, straightforward. But the integration of where should we post, when should we post, like, I'd like to report back on that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the High Prairie Council page, the last post was 2017.
Right.
So,
So again, just to reemphasize my point, I think it's causing the point well taken, Councilor Martins, that people that are in this meeting are accustomed to go to that page, but we get criticized heavily, like that information not necessarily being like one-stop shopping.
okay, so summary, trying to summarize all of our discussions, we do want to come up with, we do like the idea of having a summary of council highlights. We will post that on our web page. We like that idea, or on our Facebook page. And then we also wanted to come up with a social media policy, just to make sure that that's clear. So we've got a couple of options, council could, or we could add it to what administration's got the other 64, if they can do it, great. Or we could bring something forward to talk about, but either way, we need to come up with some kind of a policy on that. And we do want to, as much as we can, clean up our social media presence in terms of multiple sites, confusion when people go out, try to find information on the town of High Prairie, cleaning that up so it's a little more consistent. That's what it's just people can do one search and they know which one that they're going to. It's the town of High Prairie, and all the information will be on sort of one site for now. And if there's a transition, we can transition that. If there's other sites that are going to get shut down and they're active, town of High Prairie Town Council page won't be a problem to close off. Okay, are we in sort of an agreement with that? Yeah.
Could I suggest that the two specific items that the committee of the whole makes a recommendation to council that administration develops a council highlights page? So coming out of,
Can we just add that to our strategic priority?
you can do it that way.
Yeah.
Again, point's been made, not everyone's here.
Yeah,
So,
but this is the majority that agrees.
well, councils.
I would just see adding it
So
on.
if you just want to deal with it here,
Yeah.
but what's the expectation if after the next council meeting, I publish a council highlights page? I don't want to be criticized for doing that.
Yeah, I'd say we still bring back to the next council meeting, so that everyone knows, otherwise it's not a surprise. And
But we have to bring our strategic plan
I would
back.
take out the prompt and put it in that, and then explain it at the next council. meeting.
Yeah, that's what I think we can do, because this needs to be sort of adopted by council, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's not-
okay. So,
Both of you can't have your mics on, so have to do that.
okay, so we've got that issue. We're gonna take out this insert the communications prompt. We're gonna put in, develop a summary that gets posted on Facebook by administration. Council summary,
Highlights.
highlight, yeah, highlight. Okay, and then it's getting posted on town Facebook page for now,
And website,
and website.
and bulk section of the newspaper.
Well, do we want to do that, or like the concern with it being,
Dated. Yeah, it's there, like, a lot of people don't, some of the elderly population don't go to the
May not get
website
on
or Facebook, but they definitely read the newspaper, so.
okay,
I
so,
mean, we've got multiple segments of the population, taken care of.
okay,
Just while it's doing some weird things, going like. Can you not hear that?
I can hear you.
Yeah, it's like, yeah,
oh, okay, no,
God.
I thought it was mine.
Yeah, I thought so too, it's,
Yeah.
it's that phone.
does it
close.
stop when
It
it,
stopped now, yeah.
okay?
But the phone has a heartbeat or some weird.
Okay, so we've changed the one social media policy. Are we going to say it's administration to develop the policy and bring back to council? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, it's gonna. I thought it was going to be added to those 65. No,
Well, that was one of the ideas, and then we did talk about, we could do it in terms of bringing it, like I said, I could draft or something, I would go out to other towns, cut and paste and bring it to council, but if we're doing it as part of the other 65, that's
Well,
fine.
if we're doing it as part of the 65, when are we gonna get to it, is my question. So if you can draft something, then bring it back to council, I think that would be a little bit more expeditious.
and remember, like Bill said, not only are we focused on what you cannot do, what's prohibitive, but also in our case, we're really looking at it as a forward proactive, communication tool. So keep that in mind too, not just most social media policies are for what you, don't do this, don't do that. But what we really want it to be is, here's how we are going to be proactively communicating to our population base.
Yeah, I'll see what's out there and just put something together and say, hey, any feedback, and
Could I commit to do that again? I think administration needs to provide that type of,
yeah, no, and I totally agree, but I also know how full your plate is, right?
Right.
And it's so much that, getting lost and too late. So
so
if you can do it, great. If you want,
I will commit to do it and
Okay.
get it to within the next 2 council meetings, so we'll be there.
okay. Okay, I'm fine with that, as long as we come up with something and it's timely.
It ties in, the reason I'm pushing a bit hard is, it also ties in with our current policy regarding public consultation. And so there's a link to another policy. And
Okay, so we've got admin to bring back to council and the web, so going on then to website refresh. I know that the indication was that there is an internal website committee that's been established to ensure content is current. What's the status on that? Because I know there's things in there that are not all current right now.
right, so that's been tossed out to every manager to say, you need to update your content. Bailey will be working with them to update the content, but not to dump on the managers, but some of them don't think that's their responsibility. And I made it clear, it is. So,
Okay. So like what, I guess we just want to make sure it's getting done from our perspective.
right.
And I know there's some push.
Hopefully by midsummer, I'll be bringing back mock-ups of a new look for the webpage. And then based on that feedback, then we'll decide what gets moved over and nothing's being moved over, so it's refreshed.
about doing a new website is what you're talking about, or
And
is
the look, like again, the look and the content are the same thing. So do we want it structured this way where it's very difficult to find anything, or do we want it structured another way?
Yeah.
So again, it's not user friendly right now, and the links are terrible. There's information that's conflicting. So yeah, that has to be dealt with.
the last time that we did that, we actually had the consultant sort of develop the page, and then there was a crew that sort of said, yeah, we like this format as a whole, and then it had to get, a lot of the information had to get populated as it went in, and that's where we lost a lot of the information that was populated, was never updated and stuff like that, so that's where, yeah, the information's gotta be updated and fresh yeah.
So there is, council has approved $5,000 under that rural renewal stream to enhance that program, but we're gonna leverage that to basically do a mini refresh, if you wanna look at it that way.
Okay.
So right now, is the council page current? Because there's been some delegates who've come and said that when I look at the council knows that Councillor Martins is the deputy mayor, but there's no designation on the council page that says who the deputy mayor is or whatever. Is that been updated?
Yes.
Perfect.
So again, some of our business systems aren't the best. So we have the CAN business system to do the minutes. We cannot override there. So when the minutes are generated through that system, everything's hard coded. So we don't, the minutes under that system have never reflected the deputy mayor making the motion, because everyone's in there as a councillor except for the mayor. We can do a workaround, but that means we have to publish from that system, and that system automatically, once Bailey goes in and does the minutes, and you promote them, and it automatically gets posted to the website. But we can't change the hard-coded data. Well, we could, but we're gonna have to spend money to do that every time, because no one knows here how to do it. It's the third-party vendor. So there's some issues with some of the business systems we're using, that it's not as easy as one thinks. So, you know, but in anything we create, like an RFD or anything in a Word document, we can override it. But under our minute taking system, which again is under review, it's more problematic. So again, with the website, you know, in terms of the deputy mayor, someone physically has to go in and do that update every 8 months. And if people forget, it's not gonna happen. So again, there's processes, as the mayor's alluded to keep this data refreshed. You know, so we know the dates of the change of the deputy mayor. We have a schedule. Once council, if they don't amend the schedule, yeah, we should go in and update it. But yeah, that's happening. So in terms of the current deputy mayor, that's was reflected a few months, whatever the delegation noted that, I think it was changed the next day, so.
Go ahead.
So this is the first I'm hearing that something's hard-coded. Are we over-complicating things? I mean, isn't this a normal Word document and then it's published into a PDF? Like that's how I thought the minutes were, you know, done, like, and then, no?
No, most municipalities have sort of a legislative software system. So the one we're using is relevant all across. But again, the initial setup was done that way. We want to change the setup, then we gotta pay more. So that's not like a maintenance item. You know, this is the way you want it set up. It's been set up that way. it's like anything, once the business system's set that way, we don't have an administrator that can go in and change it. Another, like you say, if it's a WordPerfect doc or a Word document or that, we can control that. But this stuff's all been hard coded into that business system.
Right, so I hear that, but what I'm saying is, we might have done that, whatever, 10 years ago. Is that the modernized best practice today? Like, okay, we're not agile when we do things like that. We don't have control internally to on a dime change something. That's not agility. And my point is, can we not modernize? Like, you know, today you can do document sharing, you don't have to pay SharePoint, and there's the whole Google suite that doesn't even cost anything. Why aren't we being more agile and utilizing something that we have real-time ability to access versus relying on some third party to do something for us? It's just a question because I don't understand
The
why.
simple answer is, and, you know, Bailey, myself, and Shanda reviewed the legislative system 2 weeks ago. We had that webinar with another vendor. The issue is, we, as an organization, haven't put enough energy in to train staff, to develop staff. So, you know, reliance is on one or two individuals. They leave, Caroline left, we now have a new person. There's a learning curve. We don't have that capacity. You know, we want to develop that capacity. We're working on it.
And it would be similar if we were using other programs and packages, but, you know, hopefully finding something where the learning curve isn't that big and that we have the flexibility or the ability to make the changes, yeah.
Well, that's exactly my point, is that I feel like this is a legacy archaic system. Why can't we use something that every staff member here is familiar with, which is, everyone knows, the Microsoft suite, right? Why can't we have a system that's based on like a simple Word document and change it there, and that would be, just because we've always done something a certain way isn't, to me, the real reason why we should continue. Maybe we scrap Provident legislative system and just keep up, like, you can save things in the cloud, you can back them up, you can have systematic month, a year of all your minutes and your agendas, and then publish them. Why are we overcomplicating it with them? And maybe there is a reason, Bill, and I don't know what it is.
I don't think we're overcomplicating it. It's just that unless staff are trained in these systems and the like, we're not utilizing and optimizing the business systems. That's the issue, right? If you look in public works, for instance, outside of Vern and Mike Denty, no one has access to technology per se. So we're trying to change that. That's going to take some time, right? We have business systems that our vendor or our IT vendor has identified that are at significant security risk. We have a meter reading system operating on Windows 6. Well, we're basically 15 years behind. The vendors also apprised us that a dozen municipalities that are using that same system we're using have had security infiltrations because they're using a version that's many years out of date. I'm sorry I can't correct everything at the speed that council may wish it to be created.
I just want to go back to your question a little bit because I can talk about why we went away from Word to this package, and if we go back in time, that happened probably 8 years ago, Donna, when we moved to the vendor that supplied, and there was a lot of time spent going and creating the minutes after. And at the time, when we were looking at these various meeting packages, that this was a real time saver in that you create the the agenda, and then it's very easy to go in and then do the minutes. So the minutes can be done quick now, whereas before it took a lot longer to do the minutes and put them in, and that was, at the time, the decision was to go to this minute software, or the agenda and minute package, because it would save time and it would be more consistent than what we had before. So that was, you're asking why we went to this, and I know the council at the time supported that decision that came to us because of the time savings. And it was a lot longer to do minutes the other way. And the other really nice thing about this agenda, or this package that we're using, is it's easy to post everything on the web. Like, it can get posted and put on there, and I believe that's still the case. Is there an easy integration between posting it on our webpage?
You click the box and it's done.
Yeah, so that was some of the things that versus, so everything has got some of its pros and its cons, right? Like, you can get the agendas posted quickly, you can do the minutes quicker, but then you don't have some of the flexibility to change a title to somebody. So I guess there's always pros and cons to some of those things. And I know that was a discussion, like I say, 7 years ago kind of thing, when we moved to this package. And there was, I know there's several packages, because I remember at the time we were looking at 3 or 4 different packages, and there was a recommendation that this one be picked because it was also the same vendor that we were using for our website. So they developed the website, they had this other package that would tie seamlessly into it versus another system. Again, like you said, it might be time for a review. Is there better packages out there, better options out there, and looking at that. But that was the rationale at the time. Okay, so
Maybe I can just
yeah.
provide a bit more commentary. When I state that our state of knowledge of technology in this organization, it is very minimal. So we're trying to upgrade that. Some of the items you spoke to, we had a training session Thursday, was it? To introduce, right now we have 8 different servers. They're not interconnected. So we're using the technology to integrate those, that everyone will have access to share documents, to do this, to do that. So we're doing this, but please appreciate that staff are willing to do it. But this is all new to them. And it's going to be a learning curve for them. A lot of staff are terrified by some of the technological changes we're trying to introduce in the organization. It's going to take time. It's not happening overnight. And we don't have a lot of resources. So it's either going to be Bailey, Shanda, or me driving all these initiatives. So just asking people to put it in perspective.
Okay, so just going back, we were talking about the website refresh policies and other updates. So what I'm hearing is that administration is working on ensuring that update, and it's where the target line is being done by the end of summer to make sure that it's up to date. Is that
I think
what we're hearing?
that's fair enough.
Okay. Does that work for people to put that in there? Okay. Communication and outreach town halls meeting held in September 2022, 2024 engagement discussion needed. So we need to come up, it's 2024, we need to come up with how we want to handle our public engagement or town hall, and go from there. I think we would all agree we need something, we should be setting it up sooner rather than later, and getting some of that thing going. So, what does that look like? When would we like to do it? Throw it open for discussion. Donna?
Well, this kind of ties into my 5.2 policing. And it could also tie into what we were discussing about water. Probably wouldn't necessarily be one town hall, we would probably need one for each of these issues. But, I mean, we've talked on and on, oh, we need to have a town hall, we need to have a town hall. Some people didn't want to because they didn't want to be subjected to negative commentary or whatever. But we really need to set something up in terms of semi-annually, like let's just say, okay, in April, and we'll start working on it in January. April, this day, this will be our town hall day, these are the issues we're gonna discuss. Next one will be in September. This is, and start planning them ahead of time, saying these are the issues we're gonna discuss. Again, it's all part of that, getting that message out, getting the public's engagement, and sort of moving forward. So, I have other things to talk about policing, but that's a sort of a separate issue. I don't know if it should be tied in with the town hall stuff. Cause
It's not anything that we control.
well, somewhat, yes.
Okay, so what I've heard there is you think we should have 2 annually, they should be sort of set dates and planned around them. Okay? And the other item that, usually people want to know about is budget and stuff like that too. That's another topic. And I think when we're talking, like we're talking about the splash park, is that a specific item? Do we do something special for that, or is that one of the regular scheduled ones? And how do we get input on that? Because that was one of the ones we wanted to get input on. But I guess I'm also looking at, totally agree on getting some input, but what does the format of the event look like? How do we get the feedback? Okay.
Well, I think we have to set parameters on, okay, let's use the splash park. Saying, okay, the town hall will be about the splash park. Do you want a splash park? If you want a splash park,
What level?
are you willing to have a tax increase of X amount of dollars to cover that splash park? Keep it specific to that specific issue. Location, but I mean, with the splash park, it's not necessarily something that the town, because there's sort of the Splash Park Society, they were trying to raise money, they had a fundraiser, I don't know where that money is that they raised that was going towards the splash park. I don't know if there's the rec society that we sort of have, the nonprofit, they can apply for grants, I don't really know where the splash park is sort of what I'm saying. But whatever the issue is that we're gonna discuss at the town hall, we need to keep it specific and informative. It's not just gonna be come and yell and scream. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We have to keep it somewhat constructive, because otherwise it's just gonna be yelling, screaming match from these people and these people. One wants the splash park, these people don't want the splash park. So we have to kind of figure out a happy medium. And I mean, we did that with the cannabis, like we were specific to the cannabis, we gave them the information about the cannabis. This is what we're looking at, bylaw wise, can't be within X amount, you can only have so many in your town, whatever, et cetera. So we need to have the issue, give them the information, ask the questions, and hopefully come to some conclusion, or to move ahead or move forward.
Okay,
But just a little update, at the last joint recreation committee, the splash pad was discussed again. They approved a motion that the community consultation session be specifically designed related to the splash pad, so that's been done. The only thing, since it's not progressing as fast as I'd like it to progress, in terms of the gun show, the only thing that we're gonna be doing there is having 3 options available, option A, B, C, and people will be putting a star on which ones they would support. But that's as far as we've got in terms of communication for the gun show, because that's, there hasn't been any work done on it.
does it come with dollar figures?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, so there'll be some generic information, this, you know, so,
ongoing operating.
yeah, well, the operating costs are the same predominantly
Yeah.
between them all options, so it's just an option, like, it's really, do you want something skimpy for 400,000, or do you want something that's fairly attractive for 500,000? And, you know, that's what it boils down to, simply.
Well, and there's also the question, do you want a pad knowing that there is these ongoing operating costs after the Buchanan grant is done, right?
Right. So again, if you remember, you know, 40,000 is a 1% tax increase, the operating costs are gonna be less than 40,000 a year. So, you know, may increase your taxes 0.5% to 0.75%. You know, so that's the generic sort of broad base. And the reason I said, let's just do that is because a substantial number of the people are not gonna be town residents at the gun show. So we need a different communication strategy there to get a pulse and that view of visually what is more attractive and, you know, maybe the same as the community's view, but we'll be having a separate session to engage the community.
Okay, any other thoughts?
And if I could, I can't remember the exact date, but I believe it's, the next meeting is May 3rd, so that communication strategy should be discussed at the joint recreation committee. I believe the next meeting is May 3rd, sorry, escapes me.
Yeah, to put something together on how we're gonna get input. But the town getting input might be different than how the county gets input too. They might wanna do it a different way or do it all at once, but that's something I can look at.
Okay, so not about the splash park, but just back to our original point of our next engagement session. I'm all in favor of kind of a rhythm of, hey, these are the 2 times a year that we engage with the public. You know, whatever those dates are, but in the meantime, I think May would be a good next, because we've passed April now, so just for this time, you know, in the October session or the fall session, we can have a spring and a fall public town hall, and I don't know, I think that the fall one would be a great time for the public to get some early input into budgets and things like that, because that gives us time when we start planning in December to have our budget discussions. Then we've already heard from sort of the public in the late fall. Now in the springtime, I imagine that this next town hall will be about the two items we discussed, hey, in fact, why don't we invite, I remember, I don't know if it was here or no, it wasn't here, but I've been to community events where community policing come in and do hey, here are our crime stats, here's the whole thing, why don't we invite them to come in, why don't we, and then we discuss some of the items that are, we've passed our budget now, so we can give an update on that. But I think we need to have one. I mean, is that the question that you originally started with? Like, what were our thoughts, or?
Well, no, we said that we wanted, like, when we look at it, the last strategic planning, we said an engagements discussion is needed, right? How we're gonna get it, what it's gonna look like, and we haven't really followed up with that, and that's what I think we need to do, is look at what we'd like to do and sort of get that process started, what we're going to talk about, what the format of this would look like. So
And
to make
where.
sure that it's functional, and we've got the idea of having one topic that we focus on, and what you're talking about is several topics, so we need to make sure we're on the same page of what that town hall would look like, or that input session would look like.
I mean, how long do you envision a splash park engagement to be? An hour? So why can't we integrate it all? People are coming anyway, why can't we have everything happen in one half a day? Right? I mean, why segregate, so that come to this for just splash park, come tomorrow for something else, why can't we, it may not even take a full hour, or maybe it will, right, with for and against, and just like we do a public hearing, here's the presentation, here are the people that speak for, I think there were 3 that we've seen, A, B, and C, so I like B and C, let's talk about, I don't think the splash park is gonna be that big of a, I think people want it, and they'll just say B or C, and yes, we're willing to let our taxes, and then they'll probably, the only thing we might get against it is that this may not be a great time because of water conservation. So that might be the only thing I anticipate.
Okay, so, I guess I'd like to come away with something specific. Do we want to pick, at this point, pick a date? Or, yeah, we could take it to council to say, we'd like, what's the date? What would we recommend as topics and or a format to make sure that we have that nailed down? Okay. And, okay, we're done with that one, and then I'm just looking at the clock and lunch. Do we need to break so we can get the lunch here? Do you need to go pick it up? Okay. The other thing I think we should talk about under communication is the motion that, we wanted to flush this, the idea of more out of what we would like in terms of maybe a communications consultant and or not. But what would that look like? What would we want them to cover for us? And so to have some of that discussion. But we can take a break